The camera descends slowly through gray November clouds over central Germany. 1942. The air is thick with industrial smoke. Below, a sprawling munitions factory complex stretches across the landscape like a steel maze. Chimneys belch black clouds. Rail lines snake between buildings carrying raw materials and finished weapons. Inside one dimly lit workshop, among the clang of hammers and hiss of welding torches, a man stands alone. Middle-aged, weathered hands, graying hair. He holds a crude metal tube. Scrap steel, rejected material. Welding marks visible. Ugly, unfinished, worthless. He has shown this tube to officers, to engineers, to procurement officials. Every single one rejected it, called it useless, called it impossible, called it waste of time. Too simple, too crude, too mechanic-made. Not proper German engineering, not sophisticated enough, not worth consideration. But the man does not give up, cannot give up, will not give up. Because on the Eastern Front, his son fights Soviet tanks with rifles and grenades. Because German soldiers die daily under steel treads. Because desperation demands solution. He loads the tube one more time, aims at scrap tank hull across the yard, pulls trigger. The explosion that follows changes everything. The worthless tube penetrates armor, kills tank, proves doubters wrong. In the next 30 minutes, witness how one ignored mechanic working with garbage metal created the weapon that terrified the most powerful tanks on Earth. How rejected prototype became tool that shifted balance of entire war. How innovation born from father's love became instrument of industrial-scale destruction. The weapon military brass called useless. The weapon soldiers called lifesaver. The weapon enemies called nightmare. This is the story of Panzerschreck. This is the story of one man who refused to accept his son's death sentence. This is the story of impossible made real. The story begins now. Germany, Eastern Front, autumn 1942. The war has turned. What began as lightning victory now becomes grinding attrition. Operation Barbarossa, launched with such confidence in June 1941, has stalled in the vastness of Russia. German armies stretched across thousands of kilometers, supply lines impossibly long, reinforcements inadequate, losses mounting daily. And tanks, Soviet tanks everywhere. T-34s roll off production lines in numbers that stagger comprehension. Factories evacuated beyond Urals pump out 50 tanks daily, 60, 70. An industrial tsunami of steel and firepower. Each T-34 is revelation. Sloped armor deflects German shells. Wide tracks traverse mud and snow. Diesel engine reliable in extreme cold. 76mm gun deadly at range. Superior to anything Germany fields in 1941. Panzer II is, and IV's outmatched. Tiger tanks still months away from production. German infantry faces nightmare. Rifles useless against 30 millimeters of sloped steel. Hand grenades bounce off armor. Molotov cocktails require suicidal approach. Anti-tank rifles like Panzerbuch 39 fire tungsten rounds that barely scratch T-34 armor. Success rate abysmal. Casualty rate catastrophic. German soldiers watch helplessly as Soviet armor overruns positions, crushes trenches, murders comrades. They fight with courage that cannot overcome physics, with determination that cannot penetrate steel, with weapons designed for previous war, previous enemy, previous reality. The mathematics are brutal. For every German tank, Soviets field 5. For every destroyed T-34, 2 more appear. Attrition favors numbers. Time favors Stalin. Industrial capacity favors communism. Germany cannot win production war, cannot match Soviet output, cannot replace losses, must innovate. Must find force multiplier. Must give infantry tank-killing capability. Must do something. Anything. Everything. German High Command understands crisis. Procurement offices receive urgent demands. Create infantry anti-tank weapon. Effective. Cheap. Mass-producible. Easy to use. Committees form. Engineers draft proposals. Bureaucracy engages. Slowly, ponderously, fatally slowly. Designs require approval chains through multiple offices. Prototypes need funding authorization. Testing demands range allocation. Production requires factory retooling permits. Every step has forms. Every form has delays. Every delay costs lives. On Eastern Front, soldiers die waiting for bureaucracy to save them. Officers submit desperate reports. We cannot stop tanks. We cannot hold positions. We need weapons. Now, not next year. Not next month. Now. Reports filed. Committees convened. Discussions held. No action. Never action. Just more committees. More discussions. More delays. German military bureaucracy mirrors civilian government. Complicated. Hierarchical. Resistant to change. Innovation dies in paperwork. Urgency drowns in procedure. Necessity suffocates in protocol. Meanwhile, soldiers die. Daily, hourly, continuously. Someone must act. Someone must bypass system. Someone must create solution outside official channels. Someone does. Hugo Schneider Aktengesellschaft, HASAG, Munitions Factory Complex in Leipzig. 3,000 workers. Multiple production lines. Artillery shells, small arms ammunition, rifle components, standard military hardware. Massive industrial operation serving Wehrmacht logistics. Among thousands of workers, one man obsesses over problem others ignore. Heinrich Langweiler, 54 years old, master mechanic. 32 years experience. Started as apprentice 1910. Worked through Great War. Witnessed Weimar collapse. Survived depression. Employed through Nazi rise. Professional. Apolitical. Practical. Cares about craft, not ideology. About work, not politics. About solving problems, not debating philosophy. Hands scarred by decades of metal and fire. Back bent from years of heavy labor. Eyes still sharp. Mind still active. Skills still exceptional. He understands materials. Knows what steel can do. What welds will hold. What pressures metal tolerates. What designs work versus designs that look good on paper but fail in reality. Not engineer with university degree. Not designer with technical credentials. Not officer with military authority. Just mechanic. Working class. Blue collar. Ignored by brass. Dismissed by educated. Underestimated by everyone. His greatest advantage. Heinrich has son, Hans, 22 years old. Panzer Grenadier, motorized infantry. Eastern Front. Army Group Center. Letters arrive weekly when mail gets through. Sometimes daily. Sometimes weeks of silence and multiple letters at once. Each letter similar. Describing cold. Describing exhaustion. Describing fear. Mostly describing tanks. Soviet tanks. T-34s advancing across frozen fields. Nothing stops them. Panzerbuch rounds bounce off. Grenades useless. Men die under tracks. Die from machine guns. Die running. Die fighting. Die helpless. Hans writes asking father for help. Can you make something? Anything that kills tanks? Please, father. We are dying. All of us. Every day, please. Each letter stabs Heinrich's heart like bayonet. Each plea burns conscience like phosphorus. His son begs. Other sons die. He works in munitions factory, producing bullets and shells. Bullets that bounce off T-34s. Shells that rarely hit moving targets. Useless. Inadequate. Insulting. He must do better. Must create something. Something that works. Something that saves. Something that matters. Sleep becomes impossible. Every night, Hans's letters echo. Every morning, Heinrich arrives factory exhausted, but determined. Increasingly determined. Obsessively determined. He begins thinking, researching, planning, how to kill tank. Infantry weapon. Portable. Simple. Effective. Cheap. Questions without obvious answers. Problems without clear solutions. But Heinrich has advantage. Decades of practical experience. Understanding of materials. Access to factory resources. And motivation. Powerful motivation. Save son. Save soldiers. Save Germany. Maybe. Probably just save son. That is enough. More than enough. Everything. The concept forms slowly. Not sudden inspiration. Gradual accumulation. He reads reports. Official Wehrmacht bulletins describe captured Soviet anti-tank weapons. Ineffective mostly. But one detail catches attention. Shaped charges. High explosive formed into cone. Detonated against armor. Explosion focuses. Creates plasma jet. Superheated metal moving incredible velocity. Penetrates armor regardless of thickness. Physics, not force. Monroe effect. Known since 1888. Tested. Proven. But rarely weaponized. Why? Difficult to make stable shaped charge. Difficult to deliver to target. Difficult to create weapon ordinary soldier can use safely. Many engineers tried. Few succeeded. American Bazooka Works. Tube-launched rocket with shaped charge warhead. Effective but complicated. Two-man crew required. Bulky, heavy, expensive to produce. German procurement reviewed similar designs. Rejected all. Too expensive. Too complex. Too slow to manufacture. Want perfect weapon. Heinrich wants working weapon. Different goals. Different approaches. Different results. He simplifies everything. Basic components. Tube. Simple steel tube. Warhead. Shaped charge warhead. Basic design. Rocket motor. Solid propellant. Simple chemistry. Ignition system. Percussion mechanism. Salvaged parts. Nothing complicated. Nothing expensive. Nothing requiring specialized manufacturing. Total cost per unit. Few Reichsmarks. Manufacturing time. Hours, not weeks. Producible anywhere. Usable by anyone. Maybe. Probably. Worth trying. He starts building. After factory shifts. Using scrap materials. Metal tubes rejected for shell casings. Minor defects. Small imperfections. Dimensional variances. Normally discarded. Heinrich sees potential. Perfect for prototype. Cuts tube to length. 60 centimeters. Welds handle. Adds crude sighting mechanism. Creates trigger. Simple lever. Percussion cap. Nothing sophisticated. Just functional. Maybe. For warhead. Bigger challenge. Shaped charge requires precision. Cone angle critical. Explosive type matters. Detonation timing essential. He experiments. Carefully. Secretly. Using small amounts of explosive. Testing cone shapes. Measuring penetration. Refining design. Dozens of tests. Hundreds of adjustments. Slowly improving. Gradually perfecting. November 1942. Prototype ready. Crude. Ugly. Functional. Maybe. Testing required. Official testing requires approvals. Approvals require months. Son does not have months. Soldiers do not have months. Heinrich tests himself. Unauthorized. Dangerous. Necessary. Factory outskirts. November morning. Cold. Frost covers grass. Breath visible. Sun not yet risen. Heinrich arrives alone. Carries prototype carefully. Wrapped in canvas. Hidden. Also carries warhead. Separately. Safety. Sets up target. Scrapped tank hull. Acquired from salvage yard. 50 millimeters armor. Standard Soviet T-34 frontal thickness. Represents realistic target. He positions hull 30 meters away. Checks area. Nobody watching. Nobody present. Good. This is unauthorized. Possibly illegal. Definitely dangerous. He does not care. Must know. Must test. Must prove. Loads warhead into tube. Hands shaking. Not from cold. From anticipation. From hope. From fear of failure. Positions tube on shoulder. Aims. Breathing deep. Steadying. Focusing. Trigger simple. Lever mechanism. Pull. Release. Fire. The weapon roars. Louder than expected. Flame erupts behind. Backblast. Dangerous. Nearly knocks Heinrich down. But manages. Stays upright. Rocket flies. Smoke trail marks path. Straight. Stable. Good flight. Impacts target. Explosion. Bright flash. Loud bang. Metal fragments. Smoke everywhere. Heinrich waits. Seconds feel like hours. Smoke clears. He runs forward. Examining impact point. There. Hole. Clean round hole. Penetration complete. Through 50 millimeters. Through hardened steel. Through armor. Success. Total success. Complete validation. The crude tube works. The scrap metal weapon kills tanks. Impossible works. Rejected design succeeds. Ignored mechanic proves everyone wrong. He weeps. Cannot help. Emotions overwhelming. Relief. Pride. Hope. Vindication. His son has chance now. Soldiers have weapon. Germany has answer. From garbage. From rejected materials. From ignored suggestions. From one mechanic who refused to accept impossible. He built it. It works. Now convince others. Harder than building. Convincing military brass proves extraordinarily difficult. Heinrich submits prototype through official channels. Writes detailed description. Includes test results. Requests demonstration. Waits. Weeks pass. No response. He submits again. Different office. Different officials. Different approach. More waiting. Finally, response arrives. Demonstration approved. But skepticism obvious. Officers assigned to observe are junior. Unimportant. Clearly expect waste of time. Demonstration scheduled. December 1942. Military proving ground outside Leipzig. Heinrich arrives early. Sets up target. Another tank hull. This time 70 millimeters. Heavier than Soviet standard. Panzer III thickness. Harder test. Deliberate choice. Prove capability. Officers arrive. 6 of them. Luftwaffe and Wehrmacht. Different branches. Different agendas. All skeptical. They examine prototype. Crude tube. Welding marks visible. No polish, no sophistication. Not proper German engineering. They scoff. This defeats tanks? Impossible. Too simple. Too cheap. Too mechanic made. But demonstration proceeds. Regulations require. Heinrich loads weapon. Explains operation. Simple process. Load warhead. Aim. Fire. Officers stand back. Doubtful. Some smirking. Some bored. Most dismissive. Heinrich shoulders tube. Aims at hull 70 meters distant. Further than previous test. Harder shot. Deep breath. Fire. Weapon roars. Backblast dramatic. Flame and smoke. Rocket flies. Perfect flight. Straight trajectory. Impacts hull dead center. Explosion. Massive. Impressive. Violent. Smoke clears slowly. Officers rush forward. Examine penetration. Silence. Total silence. Then shouting. Excited shouting. Complete penetration. Through 70 millimeters. Clean hole. Catastrophic damage. Crew inside would be dead. Tank destroyed. The crude tube worked. Against heavy armor. At combat range. Beyond expectations. Reality defeats skepticism. Physics defeats pride. Necessity defeats bureaucracy. Orders issued immediately. Priority production. Mass manufacturing. Factory retooling. Procurement authorization. Everything Heinrich fought for. Everything bureaucracy resisted. Suddenly approved. Suddenly urgent. Suddenly critical. Because demonstration proved what reports could not. What descriptions failed to convey. What skeptics refused to believe. That simple solutions work. That crude designs function. That mechanics innovation saves lives. The tube has name now. Panzerschreck. Tank terror. Fitting. Accurate. Deadly. Production begins immediately. January 1943. Hassag factory retooled. Production lines established. Workers trained. Materials allocated. Output grows. First week, 50 units. Second week, 200. By February, thousands monthly. Simple design enables mass production. Unskilled workers can assemble. Components interchangeable. Quality control basic. Every tube tested. Every warhead inspected. Failure rate low. Production rate high. Cost minimal. Perfect weapon for total war. For industrial scale conflict. For desperate nation. Heinrich oversees initial production. Ensures quality. Maintains standards. Trains workers. He becomes essential, invaluable, irreplaceable. Factory management offers promotion. Better pay. Better position. He refuses. Wants to stay on floor. Stay close to production. Stay connected to weapon. To soldiers. To son. Speaking of son, Hans writes, different tone now. Excitement. Hope. New weapons arrived. Panzerschrecks. First batch. 15 weapons. Entire company. Training conducted. Simple instructions. Point. Fire. Survive backblast. Soldiers eager. Confident. First time in months. Maybe first time in year. They have weapon that works. That kills tanks. That gives them chance. Fighting chance. Survival chance. Hans, thanks father. Knows Heinrich built this. Whole company knows. Langweiler name spreads. Soldier's friend. Mechanic who cares. Man who saved them. Heinrich reads letter repeatedly. Weeping. Purpose fulfilled. Meaning found. Life validated. Everything worthwhile. First combat employment. February 1943. Stalingrad. Final days. 6th Army encircled. Starving. Freezing. Dying. Soviet tanks press perimeter constantly. Methodically crushing resistance. Eliminating pockets. Ending German presence. Panzergrenadier unit receives 3 Panzerschrecks. First weapons issued east. No formal training. Just instruction sheet. Simple diagrams. Basic procedures. Soldiers study frantically. Understanding life depends on mastery. Soviet attack begins dawn. 6 T-34s advancing. Infantry following. Standard tactics. Overwhelming force. German position hopeless. Rifles useless against armor. Artillery expended days ago. Retreat impossible. Encirclement complete. Death certain. Accepted. Expected. Unless new weapon works. 3 soldiers. 3 tubes. 3 chances. 3 desperate hopes. They wait. Position strategically. Different angles. Covering approaches. Tanks come. 200 meters. Diesel engines roaring. Tracks clanking. Machine guns firing. Suppressing German positions. 100 meters. Closer. Dangerous. Within grenade range if they had grenades. 50 meters. No. First soldier fires. Panzerschreck roars. Backblast dramatic. Rocket streaks. Smoke trail. Impacts lead T-34 turret. Explosion. Massive. Violent. Catastrophic. Turret penetrated. Ammunition cooks off. Secondary explosion. Turret blown off. 30 feet up. Lands smoking. Crew dead instantly. Tank stops. Burning. Blocking road. Second T-34 turns. Seeking shooter. Turret traversing. Searching. Second soldier fires. Hits side armor. Weaker. Vulnerable. Penetration. Fire. Crew bails. Third soldier engages. Rear tank. Engine hit. Mobility kill. Immobilized. Third shot finishes. Dead. 3 tanks. 3 shots. 3 kills. Soviet infantry hesitates. Watches armor burning. Uncertainly. Fear. Tanks vulnerable. German resistance dangerous. Maybe. Attack stalls. Pauses. Withdraws. Regrouping. Different approach. German position holds. Hours. Then days. 3 soldiers. 3 tubes. Saved company. Saved lives. Proved weapon. Word spreads. Through trenches. Through radios. Through letters home. Miracle weapon exists. Infantry can fight armor. David can kill Goliath. Tank terror has answer. Panzerschreck. Hope returns. Not victory. Not salvation. Not deliverance. Just hope. Fighting hope. Survival hope. Enough hope. Everything. Weapon evolves rapidly. Battlefield feedback incorporated. Early models crude. Heavy. Dangerous to operator. Backblast causes facial burns. Flash blindness. Hearing damage. Shield added. Protects gunner face. Simple metal plate. Effective. Tube lengthened. Increases range. Improves accuracy. Better stability. Sights refined. Graduated markings. Range estimation. Windage. Simple but functional. Warhead improved. Better penetration. More reliable fusing. Higher explosive content. Production streamlined further. Cost decreases. Output increases. By mid-1943 Panzerschreck standard equipment. Every infantry company has anti-tank section. Trained operators. Practiced tactics. Coordinated ambushes. Doctrine develops around weapon. Tank hunting becomes science. Tactics formalized. Wait for flank shots. Target tracks first. Mobility kill. Then finish. Aim for turret ring. Ammunition storage. Engine deck. Weak points. Systematic destruction. Psychological impact enormous. Soviet tankers learn fear. Previously invincible. Rampaging freely. Now vulnerable. Cautious. Buttoned up. Hatches closed. Vision limited. Speed increased. Exposure minimized. Tactics modified. Infantry support closer. Mutual protection. Coordination. Panzerschreck forces adaptation. Changes battlefield dynamics. Influences tactics. Affects strategy. One mechanic's tube alters Eastern Front fundamentally. Not decisively. Germany still losing. Numbers overwhelming. But meaningfully. Significantly. Historically. German infantry survives longer. Fights harder. Inflicts more casualties. Slow Soviet advance. Buys time. Precious time. Maybe meaningless ultimately. Maybe delays inevitable. But soldiers care about today. About surviving this attack. This tank. This moment. Panzerschreck gives them chance. That matters. To them, to families, to Heinrich, to Hans, to everyone. Heinrich watches son return. Spring 1944. Hans survives Eastern Front. Transfer west. Garrison duty France. Relatively safe. Training replacements. Recovery assignment. Rest. Heinrich receives telegram. Hans coming home. Leave. 2 weeks. First time since 1942. 2 years. Reunion at family home Leipzig. Father and son. Embrace. Long. Tight. Emotional. Tears. Relief. Gratitude. Survival. Together, Hans carries Panzerschreck. Battlefield trophy. Combat worn. Scarred. Shows father. This saved my life. Dozens of times. Every soldier knows your name. Blesses your weapon. You gave us chance. Gave us hope. Gave us survival. Thank you. Thank you forever, Father. You saved me. Saved all of us. Heinrich speechless. Overwhelmed. Purpose fulfilled beyond imagination. Not just son saved. Thousands saved. Tens of thousands. Maybe hundreds of thousands. One weapon. One simple tube. Changed everything. For them. For families. For Germany. He asks Hans about weapon performance. Battlefield reality. Operator experience. Suggestions improvements. Hans provides detailed feedback. Technical, tactical, practical. Shield good but too small. Needs better coverage. Trigger stiff when cold. Needs improvement. Sights adequate but basic. Could be better. Range limited. Acceptable but limiting. Heinrich takes notes. Many notes, improvements, modifications, refinements, never stops innovating. Never satisfied. Always seeking better. That is craftsman mentality. That is father protecting son. Even from distance. Even through metal. Even through fire. Always protecting. Always improving. Always caring. 2 weeks pass quickly. Too quickly. Hans returns duty. France. Then Normandy. D-Day. Combat again. Different enemy. Same danger. Same Panzerschreck. Same hope. Heinrich returns factory. Implements improvements. Refines design. Production continues. Millions manufactured. Millions distributed. War continues. Germany bleeds. Slowly. Inevitably. Unstoppably. But fighting. Always fighting. With Panzerschreck. With hope. With Heinrich's gift. Until end. Until silence. Until peace. Finally, peace. War ends May 1945. Germany destroyed. Cities rubble. Industry demolished. Population shattered. But Heinrich survives. Hans survives. Both alive. Both damaged. Both changed forever. Leipzig Soviet-occupied zone. Russian soldiers everywhere. Factories investigated. Workers interrogated. Technology sought. Secrets hunted. Heinrich expected arrest. Execution. Revenge. Panzerschreck killed thousands Soviet soldiers. Destroyed thousands Soviet tanks. He built it. He is responsible. He waits for consequences. Instead, respect. Soviet engineers interview him. Technical questions. Professional curiosity. Design philosophy. Manufacturing secrets. They understand. Mechanic did job. Created weapon. Served country. Like Soviet engineers served Stalin. No malice, no punishment. Professional acknowledgement. Engineer to craftsman. Human to human. Heinrich answers honestly, completely. War finished. Knowledge irrelevant. Sharing costs nothing. Maybe prevents future war. Probably not. But maybe. Hope remains. Always hope. Decades later, Heinrich Langweiler dies quietly. 1967. Age 78. Heart failure. Family gathered. Peaceful passing. Obituary brief. Mechanic. War worker. Survivor. Father. Grandfather. Citizen. No mention Panzerschreck. No mention impact. No mention thousands saved. Just simple man. Simple life. Simply remembered. But legacy endures. In museums worldwide. In weapons descended. In soldiers saved. In mechanics inspired. In anyone refusing impossible. Panzerschreck proved that simplicity works. That determination matters. That one person changes everything. From worthless tube to deadliest weapon. Because one father refused accept son's death. One mechanic refused accept impossible. One man changed war. Changed history. Changed future. Forever. That is story. That is truth. That is legacy, eternal.